Oh, I'm James Lott Jr. of JLJ Media. This is In Between the Pages, In Between the Pages, with James Lott Jr. here on JLJ Media. And right now I'm going to tell you about a book that I just finished that I loved. I'm going to tell you why I loved it. It's biography. I read a lot of biographies and autobiographies. This is a biography of the month. And I'm picking this one for April. It is Please, Please Tell Me Now, the Duran story by Stephen Davis. This book came out in 2021. I got it. I just got it this year. Big, thick, comprehensive book, pictures, everything. Let me tell you something. So I have to confess first that I was a Duranie back in the 80s and 90s. I'm a huge Duran fan. Seen them in concert several times. Saw the Seven and Ragged Tiger tour in '83, and I saw them years later in 2000s. Live, great band live. A huge fan. So I just want to know if he's a fan. I know bits of their story already. So I was looking for there were certain points I was hoping this book would hit, and it does. This guy Steven did his stuff. I'm very happy about this because he really went into it. So Duran, of course, was the new Fab Five, huge in the '80s. Came back in the '90s. So they always come around, the five fellas, and they have different various lineups. And this book talks about each of that. But one of some of the details that I was like, okay, they really went into it was when Duran splits into two teams, Arcadia and the Power Station. Meanwhile, still only having to come together for A View to Kill, the theme song of the James Bond film. They talked about all of that. Wow. Right about that. Also, they touched on John Taylor and Annie Taylor had some solo hits and had some solo stuff for them. They touched on that. I was like, there we go. They also talked about the newer members like Warren Cucciarello from Missing Persons coming into the band, and what his contribution was, their ups and downs, making of the videos, making of them, the exhaustion of the business, how hard it is to pull things together. But they really did go in depth in this book about the. I felt like I got a full comprehensive of Duran's story. Obviously, if any of them had their own books, autobiographies, that would be icing on the cake. But I felt like they really covered a lot of stuff that I may remember snapshots of, like, oh yeah, I remember that song he did that John Taylor did for 9.5 weeks. It talks about how he got that gig, and how Annie Taylor wanted to do this, and how they even get to the point of like how Power Station tried to come back on some level, but it didn't really work out. And some of those songs ended up being on a Duran album, and just I mean, it's just a really good. Anyway, Steven did a great job. It's a nice, easy read. It's juicy enough that and I remember, of course, I said as a following. I remember who was dating who and who's doing this and that. The drug use, the like I say, exhaustion. I mean, they really go into it. So I'm just going to tell you, if you want a nice read about a band, who's kind of rise to the top, and then have now become a long, enduring band that's now, and it ends in 2019 when they get inducted to Rock and Hall of Fame, deservedly so, as a pro epilogue of about what's happening in 2020, right, by when the pandemic starts. But it's really good. It's a nice, comprehensive time, and it felt like I was watching a documentary but reading it, which I like documentaries. So for me, this works. This totally works. So it's called Please Please Tell Me Now, the Duran story by Stephen Davis. I fully recommend it. It's our biography of the month. Now, if you have any biographies you want me to read, or anything you think, Jane, you should read this, message me. Send them down below. I love biographies. I'm also reading a Prince thing right now too, but that might be next month or June, which is his birthday. Who knows? But I love biographies, autobiographies, stories about pop culture, historical figures. I've posted those on the show before too. So any suggestions, let me know. In between pages is on Facebook, also the page, or the show is on every audio streaming service platform and on YouTube at JLJ Media. Talk to you next time.